What the actual hell is going on with Gotham Knights?
Elliott Center is covered in ice. Whatever's causing this is localized at the top.
How does it play? Well, I played about 3 hours of it at a recent hands-on event, and the answer is, well, it's complicated.
Overall impressions are, I'm not 100% sure what to think about it.
The unfortunate reality, though, here with Gotham Knights is that it's sorely missing some form of a counter or a parry option. At least
So, in terms of the overall feeling of combat, like I said, it feels pretty good, but again, it's gonna naturally be compared to Arkham, and again, it does kind of fall short.
And I will admit that playing 2 hours of this, it's not enough to really make a full judgment call, but the fact that I am critical of elements of it, but left still wanting to see more, I think is an okay sign.
Gotham Knights is not an easy game to demo, and while I walked away from my hands-on time less than impressed with many aspects of combat, I still found myself interested in playing more.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. We are going back to basics with this one. Well, kind of basics. We are talking about a game and not actually the series that's coming out. I think it's coming out. It hasn't been cancelled. I think it was supposed to be cancelled. I think people thought it was supposed to be cancelled. Or thought that it was cancelled, but it wasn't cancelled. So people were disappointed that it wasn't cancelled. But now it's still up in the air if it is cancelled or not cancelled. So has it been cancelled or hasn't it been cancelled? We don't know. But anyway, we are not here to talk about the CW Gotham Knights. We are here to talk about WB's Montreal's Gotham Knights and what the hell is going on, because it seems to me that this game has such mixed reviews. I think Jake Baldino put it best from GameRanks, and it's 50-50. You see that pretty much every games company or reviewer who got hands-on experience with the game have a mixed experience, because people like the story. They say the story is pretty good, and that is what is hooking them to the actual game. But then there is the gameplay side of things, and it's kind of funny with this game, because every reviewer pretty much says that this is not an Arkham game. Do not expect it to be an Arkham game. Do not play it like an Arkham game. Then they kind of double down. I believe it's called double down. But then they say that it somehow still feels like an Arkham game, even though this is not trying to be an Arkham game, and it shouldn't be reviewed as an Arkham game. But every reviewer is pretty much referencing the Arkham games, even though this is not an Arkham game. They just can't seem to escape that similarity. And I think it's so weird. It's like they want this to be Arkham so bad, but it's not. But somehow it still is for some reason. Look, I have been really excited about this game for a long time, and it might just be the fact that I am a huge Batman fan, so I do want to play this game pretty much no matter what. But seeing the gameplay doesn't really do anything for me. I feel like it's the type of game that you have to play for yourself, because so far I'm not really convinced by seeing the combat for myself. I think I have to experience it for myself, and I think that a beta or a demo would do wonders for this game. But pretty much everyone said that 2 hours of gameplay wasn't enough to really judge the game, so a demo wouldn't really do anything, because the demo definitely wouldn't be over 2 hours long. Maybe a game trial on PlayStation could do wonders for this game, but is it gonna get a trial now? The game is only 3 weeks away, so I doubt it. I think my biggest issue with the actual game is that, now I'll just say that I have not played it. My biggest issue with the game is that it looks like an RPG, and I don't think a Batman game really suits the RPG formula, because it reminds me so much of the new RPG Assassin's Creed trilogy, and that honestly just gives me nightmares. For some reason, I did like the combat in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but seeing enemies with health bars is just so weird, especially when you think about the Arkham games. Now, I know that we shouldn't be be referencing the Arkham games so much because the developers explicitly said that they're not trying to make an Arkham game, and you can clearly see that it's not supposed to be Arkham in any way whatsoever. I mean, it doesn't even have the Arkham in its title. Now, it is made by the people that made, or the studio that made Arkham Origins, and of course they have experience with the Arkham games, even though it's not the Rocksteady Arkham games that are so highly beloved. And even when you compare the Arkham Origins game and Gotham Knights, there is basically no correlation there because the combat is so different, and they mentioned it in, I believe it's GameSpot, mentioned that this game is more ability based than anything, and you can't even counter. So you have to dodge, and that's also a big gripe that people have with this. And the combat doesn't feel as hard-hitting and as brutal as in the Arkham games, because when you punch the enemy you can feel it, and in this game it's not really like that. So in that sense it's almost like a very fluid RPG game, because in a lot of role-playing games, yes, the combat can be good and it often is good, but it doesn't really feel that hard-hitting for some reason. And talking about the combat, this unfortunately reminds me of a terrible game that I played. I was one of the people that when the trailers for the Avengers Square Enix game came out, they looked so bad, the gameplay looked so stale, and I was never ever going to touch that game with my own money, and I cannot believe that people actually fell for it. They pretty much just bought it because it's Avengers. Now, I don't want to fall into the same trap with Gotham Knights, because if I don't really like the game, I'm just buying it because it is the Batman family, and that is a huge issue for me, because I want to purchase games because of their quality and because I really want to play them, not just because it has Batman in it and everything Batman I have to play. But going back to the Avengers game, it kinda gives me the same vibe with the combat. Even though combat looks way better in this, it just somehow gives me those bad vibes that the Avengers game brought with it. Now, the Avengers game is pretty much a live service game, and they want to throw microtransactions at you at every turn. And they said about this game that it's not a game as a service, and it feels different this to the Avengers game, because the Avengers game is, I believe you cannot play co-op in the story, and the co-op is pretty much just going around doing missions, but this game is built from the ground up to include co-op play in the actual story mode, and this doesn't really have those types of missions, those repetitive missions that really killed the Avengers game. And speaking of the co-op, I thought that this game, Gotham Knights, was always supposed to have 4-player co-op. It just made sense to me because it has 4 playable characters, but apparently it was always meant to be only 2-player co-op, and they actually have a reasoning for the 2-player co-op thing instead of the 4-player co-op. Obviously this is a game where you play through a story campaign, and obviously you can experience the game solo. So if they were to have 4 playable characters, they would have to build the gameplay, the world, the story around 4-player co-op. But if you want to experience the game for yourself, but it is meant to be a 4-player co-op, then it's not gonna really feel right because you're missing 4 other people. And I think cutting it down to 2 players is more manageable, because it doesn't really make, yeah, the gameplay is probably tailored to 2 players, but you can pretty much do solo. And speaking of co-op, there's now, this is something that I didn't think that they would do. I think it's gonna be very strange to see in the story campaign. It is that, what does co-op offer above single player? Can 2 players play co-op with the same character? And Patrick Redding explains that now if you happen to have 2 Batgirls, you can also do that. Obviously the potential of having different Batgirl builds and how they look different and play differently is really cool too. So in the story you're gonna have potentially two Batgirls in the same story, and are they gonna be 2 Batgirls in the cutscenes at the same time? I mean, obviously they don't want you to be forced to play as one character or the other. Let's say you and your friend are playing Gotham Knights and both of your favorite characters is Red Hood, but only one of you can play as Red Hood, so the other friend is forced to pick someone else, and that would kind of suck because you want to probably play as your favorite character, and being forced to play as someone else may not be so fun. And I think in the Avengers game you can do that. You can play pretty much everyone can play as Kate Bishop if they want to in co-op, but that doesn't really have a story. It's just basically repetitive missions after missions after missions that provide no substance at all. Now I apologize if this video has been super incoherent. I don't really have a script for this video. It's more just talking from my heart. No, not from heart, from my mind. What am I saying? From my heart. Like this is some sort of heartfelt love letter. No, I'm just speaking from my mind, and I don't really know where I left off. It's been some time. But let's just circle it back for a little bit, because as I said, I have been very excited for this game, and there have been a lot of negativity about this game, and even through all of the negativity I have persevered, and nothing could have put a dampener on my excitement for this game until now, because literally everyone bar a few are saying that the story is pretty good and the gameplay is a little myth, and that is a kind of an issue for me, but not totally, because I'm just so excited to hear about the Court of Owls again, because I love the Court of Owls mystery in the Batman comic books, and I can't wait to see it happen in this game as well. And sometimes I just pretty much just buy games for the story, specifically superhero games. Injustice 2 is one of them.
Keep them occupied!
But yeah, the closer and closer we are getting to release, the more and more I'm very cautious about the game. I'm probably gonna buy it anyway, just because. But then again, I said that I don't want to purchase it just because it is Batman. But I always want to have my own experiences with something, because reviews for me only go so far. It's like a show on Rotten Tomatoes can have 90%, or it could have 40%, and I could still enjoy the 40% movie more than the 90% movie. So reviews for me don't really do it. Of course, these were not reviews, they were more hands-on experiences. The consensus is pretty clear that this is not an Arkham game. It's not trying to be an Arkham game, but it somehow still feels like an Arkham game, just a little bit. And the story is good, or pretty good, but the combat leaves something to be desired, and not having a parry button could be detrimental to the combat experience. And now I want to pass the baton over to you, because how do you feel about this game? Are you planning to buy it on release date? Are you going to wait until it goes into the bargain bin, which it probably will very fast? Or will you wait a few years, then pick it up for $10, the game of the year, or not the game of the year, but the complete edition for like $10 or something like that, like the Witcher games? And how are you feeling about this particular game? Are you going to wait for the reviews? But if you enjoyed today's video, please consider leaving a like, maybe subscribe to see more Gotham news, reviews, and all things comic books. Well, not all things comic book, but all things Gotham Knights. No, not really either. But I am gonna probably play the game for myself, and maybe I will do not really a review, but my thoughts and impressions. Anyway, I will see you later, Batman fans, and let me know your thoughts about the game, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.
You've always had my back when I needed you. I know you'll keep Gotham safe. Good luck. And goodbye.
Because they're always watching, always listening, pulling everybody's strings. Mine, yours. But no one talks about them. Not a whispered word is said.